What we're going to do today, the overall picture is looking at families that have smaller families nested inside them. For instance, if you want to be able to change out all the handles in your kitchen cabinets, how do you do that? We'll just do it with a door because it's simple, but makes clear the idea. And then take that a little further with railings and storefront systems. But first, I want to start with just some things we didn't quite address under stairs that I would like to get to. And I know especially modeling this Schneider Hall stair is a question. So like, how do we do that? So I'm just going to start a new drawing. And I'm using that Imperial Architectural template again. And what we're going to do initially is start with a stair, just using the stair tool, and then convert it into sketch lines, and then modify the sketch lines, and therefore modify the sketch of the 3D element. Pretty much in all these, I'm going to start with just a straight Revit stair, from level 1 to level 2, and then modify that so we can play with what goes on. Let me scroll these over a little bit. The first thing we'll do, I'm going to do a stair, and we'll just take it from level 1 to level 2, just this regular old stair, and just create it like that. Okay. And then go into the 3D mode. WT to tile the windows, ZA to zoom all, and then we see that puppy in there. I'm going to get rid of the railing. Well, let's leave the railings for now just to see how they accommodate. What I want to do, I'm going to sketch this on the board, is take the rectangular stair and layer it out. So instead of this, we'll have a shape like that. Here I'll pick the stair, go into Edit Stairs, pick this again, this guy, and now I can convert it back into the two-dimensional lines that define the three-dimensional object. Everything in Revit that's not imported from AutoCAD reduces at some point down to a two-dimensional sketch. The profile, the section view of a handrail, the plan of a stair, like that. So we'll say convert to sketch-based. And it's going to say at some point, doing this means Revit's tools will no longer work. I can't change the rise and the run. You're responsible now for the geometries, making sure you have 11 inches from tread to tread, all like that. So, okay, fine. So it does that. And now that we have it, now this becomes available where we can edit this sketch. And what make up a stair sketch are basically 3 different types of lines. They're right here. There's the green boundary line that the treads have to come out to on both sides, the risers themselves, and then there's finally the stair path, which needs to go from the first riser to the last riser and cross all the others in between to say all of these are what are dividing our height. And we can just edit these as lines. I'm just going to pick that green line and drag its end out to here and say OK. And immediately the stairs extend to there, the treads extend to there, and the stringers flare and all like that. And when I hit OK, then the railings get put back on, also flared. I can't tell you what I've had to go through to make stairs in other applications. When I was making all my models in AutoCAD, I'd have lots of 3D stairs following the path in 3 dimensions to model them. Okay, so that's that. Let's make something a little different. Let's make a stair with a landing and then change the shape of the landing. So I'll go back to here in Plan View. I'll go to Architecture, Stair. I think there are 18 treads, so we'll do 9 of them. Move out for a scenic landing and do the rest of them. Okay, and there are those. It looks like we really have 3 things we can edit: a first run, a landing, and a second run. So we'll pick the whole stair, go to Edit Stairs, then which part of it do you want to edit? And I'll pick the landing. And then that's what I have to convert to lines. Revit's no longer responsible for it, just we are. So then we go to Convert. Yeah. And then with that selected, I go to Edit Sketch. We're leaving the riser here and the riser here in place. So what we're going to do is draw a new boundary line on each side. Boundary. Going to pick this tool, the arc tool, where we do the two endpoints and then a point on the circle. And then the same thing here. And then we have to get rid of these two, the two original ones. So we still just have a bounded landing, and that'll be the floor of the landing, essentially. Okay. So it pops out, as you can see over there. And then a final OK completes the whole staircase editing, which is to add the railings back on. That's pretty cool. Now there's something a little funny going on here, which is this guy. It turns out that revising the sketch so that the arcs don't start right at the front and rear edges of the landing fixes the problem. Don't be afraid to experiment. But that's the idea. You simply edit the two-dimensional sketch until the three-dimensional object is correct. We can also use these same sketch tools to draw the sketch first, and then Revit turns it into a stair. So let's get in plan. I basically all I know is I need to have 18 risers. I need to make sure I've got 18 riser lines of whatever shape they are. I'm just gonna draw here on the board a wavy line here and a straight line here and put 18 risers all together in like that. So let's just see stair. So we can either do them by runs, which is normally how that happens, or use these pre-made shapes, or just draw it. So the first thing I'm going to draw is the boundary, one of those edges. I know I need about 17 or 18 feet total for 18 risers. So there's 7. I'll do that. And then I'm going to use the continue arc tool, tangent end arc, to go from here to, oh, it doesn't give me a number. Well, if that was 7 feet and I need, yeah, that's about right. Okay, there's that, and I'll hit escape. So there's the top one. And it says no risers created because I haven't done them yet. And then I'll do this bottom boundary just with a line, let's say from here to here. Oh, I can't I can't quit yet because I need some risers in here. And I think the risers, I'm just going to do them all parallel to this, just because offsetting is easier. They could angle some, but then you have to worry about, did I really get my 11 inches everywhere, that kind of thing. So I'll just use offset 11 inches. 1, does 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're not going to do a landing. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, well, we'll just pick that and drag it to there. Pick this and drag it to there. They already meet down here. I did 11 inches or 12, 11 is the minimum. And, I could have used this array copy tool to just put up 18 of them right away, but offsetting is clearer, what's going on, just what we're in control of. And then we can use the trim multiple elements tool where you're trimming or extending a number of different elements to another one. So I'll pick that. And the first thing you do is pick the trim line, what's doing the cutting, and then you pick the ones that you want to trim on the part you want to keep. And this really works better than dragging the endpoint to because those can change the angle, and I don't want to do that. Okay, escape. Now I'll pick a new trim line. And as soon as you pick it, it's ready to start picking. These guys. Escape. Now let me try. Can I? Well, I'll just select that. We'll just do it. Or I can just grab them all. No, maybe I can't. That's sort of messed up. Okay, there's that. 18 risers created, none remaining. We've got our boundaries defined. We've got our risers defined. I can OK. And this is Revit's sort of first check. Like, is that even valid yet? Do all my lines meet at the corners? Do I have what I need to do to build a staircase? If we had an error here, like not enough risers or forgot a boundary line, it would flag that. But this looks good, so I'll say finish. And oh, there we go. And if you want to come in further, do stuff. Edit sketch. What I want to do here is have this first tread wrap around like that. Edit sketch. I'm going to put a curve on, come off tangent to that and bring it around to there. Oh, but that has to be a riser doing that. A riser comes off there and goes to there. And now the boundary line only comes to the last stair. So I need to select this and pull it back to there. So this is as far as we're going down. That's where the stringers stop, if you like. You know, the stringer here, and then this tread will extend around that way. I'll do it over here as well, just for fun. So I shorten the boundary line to the end of the last tread that it actually meets. Let me do that part and just wrap this around a riser line. Pull this back. That, I think, should do it. Yes, okay, good. And you can see what we have going on down here, which is it comes, this line, this tread returns back to the stringer. And I'd probably modify the run of the stairs in type properties to have open stringers, the kind that's under the treads instead of the closed ones here. Question from the floor about why the railings stop before they get to the end of the stair. The default railing just goes to the end of the stringers. Now we have a little extra to deal with, which is to say I want this railing, let's say, to go off at this same angle over to here. But I'm going to wait till we start dealing with railings to deal with all that. I just wanted to be able to show you basically how you can draw stairs any way that you want them to have it. Have I ever done this? I've only ever done this on outside steps, sort of going up a hill like that. Not. I don't think I've ever used a really swoopy stair inside. Well, you know, I take that back. A couple of residences where you come down the stair to the first floor, come to a little landing, and then go down 2 steps to the front door and stuff like that. So I have done those, these kinds of things there. A house in Indiana was getting a makeover of this staircase. Something more traditional was desired. So here's a first version in Revit, but the clients wanted the railing to extend farther, so we ended up with this. Not ADA compliant, but a residential stair does not have to be. Here's the drawing sheet that went to the stair fabricator. So that's there if you need it. 2 people who've done really an extraordinary job of making Revit available to normal human beings are Paul Aubin, A-U-B-I-N, who's written books and has a whole 90 hours worth of Revit tutorials on LinkedIn. And if you're not a member of LinkedIn, you're free as a member of U of L, and he's the best. He's the master. And there's also a guy, Jeffrey Pinero, who goes by the Revit Kid on YouTube. And he prepared, an equal number of instructional videos while he was in graduate school for architecture, working full-time at an architecture firm in Connecticut, doing the videos and having small kids at home. And I just have no idea how he did it, but they're very useful. I would say Paul Aubin is more in depth. The Revit Kid does things more. Here's a cool thing you should find out. Okay, a couple things I learned about spiral stairs while I was doing this, which is that when we go to stairs, we have 2 kinds of spiral stairs, which I honestly had never even paid attention to before. You've got the first kind that can go up multiple stories at a whack. Like if you're getting, the spiral staircase for the lighting guys in a theater to get up, up 40 feet into a grid. it continues up like a corkscrew. And then the kind like what we have here at Schneider Hall is where that whole run is less than 360 degrees. And the problem then is how do you get the angles? How do you get the radiuses right? What I want to be able to identify is the center point of that spiral. We're just talking circles, not ellipses or anything. And then with the staircase, are we measuring as we're going up to the inside, the center, or the outside of the stair, of the run? And let's just say we know what it is. Let's just say we know that the inside is 6 feet. And we're going to be doing like this. And then it's helpful to have this line drawn where you want the stair to start, and this line drawn knowing whatever that angle has to be, let's say 135 degrees. LI for draw line. Here's going to be our center point. We're going to start somewhere along that line, and then we're going to come down there at 135 degrees, and this is where we're going to end. So we're going to start here and go around to there as we go up to our second floor. So let's see if that's going to work. So architecture, stair, not the full 360, just the partial one. So it asks for, you see down at the very bottom, I think, bottom left hand of your screen, click to enter spiral run center. So that'll be here. And then it's saying which location line do you need? The center of the run or the left, and we're going to pick the left. That's the inside as we're going up. And what did I say that was? 6 feet. Well, actually, what we'll do here is just let's just say all we know is those two is that angle, and we're just going to see where that hits. So we'll click on here until that lines up. Okay, so that just sort of gave us the shape of it. Then we actually say, here's how many we're going to use, just like drawing the straight stair. You can click out past the point where that happens. And then Revit says, that looks pretty good. And then creates the stair and puts the railings on it. So there's our line. Here's these guys meeting that at 135 degrees. That's the basic idea. And with all these stairs, if you realize, oh, it actually goes the other way, you can select it, click the arrow, and then it flips direction in the other way, which is how that's actually the orientation of the Schneider Hall stair. You can flip them, and that's also available here just in edit stairs flip. And finish. And just while we're at it, let's imagine we wanted to do that tight little staircase going up to the lighting grid. Say it has to go 30 feet, and it's just going around a center pole. You know, our internal diameter might be just 6 inches, so a radius of 3 inches. So this would be tight. Let's see what happens here. Stair. Let's say it's going up to whatever our level 2 is, but it's going 20 feet above level 2. 20 feet above level 2. We start here. Spiral. 52 risers created. So there's my 3-inch radius, i.e. 6-inch steel column. Think. Highlighted lines overlap. Yeah, no lie. Let's get rid of the railing. But there's that. I don't know if that has adequate head clearance. To tell you the truth, it might need it. It probably needs a steeper stair. Probably needs like a 10-inch, but we have to go in and see how that worked. You can cut a section through there and adjust it. But so you can make this stuff. You have to think about it, and frankly, you have to try 3 or 4 times before you get it right. That's my experience with spiral stairs. Well, moving right along to nested families, page 2 in the lecture notes. Let's just get rid of these guys. This is something you could watch if you want. This is just to illustrate a concept, and we'll actually be doing it later on. I'm just going to put up a wall and put in a door. DR is the shortcut for door. Door in the wall. That basic door doesn't show door handles. That doesn't even have door handles associated with them. So what I'm going to do is go to door, load family, doors. The residential ones mostly do. Door, single wood. Here's one that has door handle on it. That's all I wanted. Pick a size. So this is a type 30 by 80, just a standard house door. Okay. And put it in. The geometry of that family has a recessed panel, has a frame on both sides, a recessed panel, and a handle on both sides. To have done that better, I should have selected the door and then done my orbit, and then it will use the door as the center point for that, so we can see both sides of it. Let's copy this door a couple of times and make one of them larger. It'll be same family, but just a different size. Let's see if we have any of those. No, we'll have to. We only imported the one type, so I'll go to Edit Type and duplicate, and we'll make one that's 4 feet wide. That's all. Okay. So same family, just a different type. So when we go in to edit the family and replace the door handle with like a lever type, it'll replace on all of these. All of these that have the same configuration of casing, door, and inset panel. So we can pick any of these. It's the same family, edit family. And we see our door here. When I pick the handle, here under properties, I get a list of the kind of handles that are available here. And right now, the domestic handle is the only one in this family. So what I'm gonna do is load into door family a lever handle and replace this handle with the lever handle. You'll see how this goes. You can insert something, a family, into a drawing without actually having to place it. So I'm going to insert with like a door or a component, just bring this into the model's memory. Insert, load family. And I want to go up a notch and go to hardware and just pick the handle lever. So that's the domestic one that's there. Here's the lever that we're going to replace it with. Open. So it's now in this door family, just not placed yet. And whenever I pick something, I can replace it with anything of the same category. So handle domestic standard, I'm going to replace that with handle lever standard. And then flip around and do the same thing on the other side. Some of the handles are made, the sort of handle assembly is both of them, two handles, one on either side. This one is not, which gives us the option of different handles on different sides. Same deal, we'll pick that and decide we want the lever handle. Now the question is, what do we want to do with this? I do want to import this into my model with those extra doors and all and the wall, but I don't want to change it on disk. I don't want to go ahead and change the AutoCAD default. So I'm going to load into project and close. It'll say, do you want to save the changes? This is the first one where it says, do you want to change these, save these to disk, to back into that Revit folder. So this will be what you see from now on. I'm going to say no. I don't want to save it to disk, but I do want to overwrite the existing version in my model. So drawing for hard disk first, then model, overwrite the existing version, and presto changeo, all those update. And they all update, even ones of different sizes, because they're all the same family. So we pick that, we can roll it down and see that they change on the back side as well. So this is really by way of just illustrating that we can have families within families, and change them out. Here we actually had to go into edit family to change them. I mean, imagine if just in the properties of this door or in edit type, we had a way to pick the handle from a list of handles. The way that door is made, very simply, we got to go back and edit it. But you'll be seeing with the more complex assemblies, we're given a choice between, not just what a material might be, but what family to use for the door handle. Okay, so where is that getting us? I think that will get us, first of all, to curtain walls, which have just two kinds of family nested, sort of subfamilies nested with the larger curtain wall family, which are the mullions that we're using and the different kinds of panels that go inside the mullions. So let's look at that. I'm going to get rid of this wall. A couple of things about the curtain walls, as I do here at the top of page 2, is essentially these three are different types of the same family. We will really exclusively be using this one called Storefront, which is already set up to do interior and exterior planar, which is to say not warped walls, just like the ones here on Snyder Hall or the ones in a storefront in a mall or something or other like that. Let me show you how these others can work. There is a tool here. Don't bother going through this because it'll be quick, where we can create in place mass is where I want to be. This is something I'm going to sketch. This is like place something that exists already. In place mass 1, where this might be a large building. Well, a building, I'll just keep it like that. There, I've done that, and then create form, and then I drag that up a couple of stories worth, and then I can select it. Okay. And then I can move these edges around. This is kind of fun, incidentally, where I've got these slope things. Then if I just move this point, I can end up with some warped. You see that this side over here is not a planar side. It's called a surface. This is just a rough mass of something rather. Okay, finish mass. After creating the building mass, the next step is to apply one of these curtain systems on the face of a mask or generic model. So that's where I want it to be. This really happens. This is how the people in Frank Gehry's office spend their days. Okay, so I come down and then pick this. I can choose which face I want, and I can pick that one and say create system. And it will use some predetermined sizes that we'll get to in a bit to skin that face with a, all these are rectangular and can take rectangular pieces of glass. The glasses themselves aren't warped. They are straight facets that approximate that curve in all those different dimensions. The opportunity to do this on a large scale just doesn't come up in interior design, but any of you headed for architecture school, pay attention. So we're going to just get rid of that. But that's sort of the capability of these tools. Delete that. Delete all these. So what we're going to be dealing with are vertical, fairly regular interior and exterior storefront wall systems. You draw these just like any other wall, point to point to point to point. And we're going to create it here. Which comes like this. It already comes with glass in it. It already comes with the mullions. They're already set for some sort of appropriate size, and we'll address those shortly. I made an extra little piece there. I'm going to get rid of that. These two walls are instances of the storefront wall type of the curtain wall family and are composed of two subfamilies. It's composed of mullions and it's composed of panels of glass inside it. And what I have on those diagrams on page 2 are when we pick the wall itself, which you get at by hovering over it, highlighting till the whole thing lights up in those dotted lines. Just we treat this pretty much just like any other wall. There's nothing much here we can do that we can't do just to a piece of chipboard wall. We can set its height. I'm going to say just go up to level 2, just so we can control it that way. And do this one as well. We can control their height that way. We can change their angle, make them slant. So if I make this, instead of vertical, I'll say slanted, and just make it be, let's say 15 degrees. Okay, go ahead, do that. And because I drew those at the same time, the two walls are constrained to each other. So when I slope this guy out, the other one follows to extend out that way. And that works with regular walls as well. I'm going to undo that just so we see things happening here, what we can do with an individual object and what we can do with type properties. So these are both of the same type, which is just our current storefront type. A lot of what we do happens, especially when you have a whole building full of stuff. You don't want to have to keep adjusting most things on case by case and million by million basis. So mostly, if we want to be setting our default widths of the glass to something other than whatever it is right now, we can go to Edit Type and get this type properties that will affect both of these and any others that we've created in the drawing using the same type. And I guess the first things will be this interior exterior really only comes up if you're really modeling a building and you want to be able to schedule your interior and exterior walls separately. And the exterior walls will have different waterproofing stuff built into them than the interior walls. So we can ignore that. It doesn't make any difference in how they appear. How the grid of the verticals is laid out is something that we want to be able to control. We have a couple of choices here, whether there aren't any of them. Just on the edges, which never happens because that's a 60-foot piece of glass and no way. So I'm going to do Control C, Edit Type. So instead of none, well, none actually is where you can go in and put your own exactly where you want them. Let's ignore that for the time being, none. We can set them a fixed distance apart. Let's just say it was set for 5 feet before. Let's set it for 4 feet. Apply, and they all kick in. And I picked up a little extra here because I was starting here from the beginning, and it went 4, 4, 4, 4, and had that much left over. When I drag this out, it'll keep doing the 4s and then pick up the end. Sometimes you want that little piece just to be there at the end so that this corner is all a bunch of 4s. Sometimes you want that to be centered and equal ones on either side. So we'll pick that wall again. Okay, the whole idea, the whole building has these that are 4 feet apart now, but each individual wall you might want to decide where that first 4 foot mullion comes. So we can do justification at the beginning, which is right here, meaning 4, 4, 4, 4, and whatever. Or we can say justify at the end, which will flip it the other way. Or we can say justify center. 2 little guys. The glass guys hate little 6-inch strips. So what we really want to do here is offset it so we have 2 that are about 1.5 feet or 2.5 feet. So then we can say, well, let's just go back to let's go to beginning and then offset 2 feet and see what happens. Well, let's say offset 3 feet and see what happens. So offset 3'6" and see what happens. So that they would like that a lot more. And when you realize that one of these wall systems might be many stories high, the implications for the look of the building and for the effort to construct it can be considerable. They don't like triangular pieces much unless you pay them extra, and they sure don't like skinny ones. They're a pain to put in. The only time I've really done skinny ones like 6 inches is by the side of a door where it's like a vision light down the hall. So we can make them any distance we want and anywhere along that wall we want. Let's take a look at just what's involved in the that 4 foot dimension. Go back to plan. DI for dimension. Get into this view. Each of these mullions has its own center line. So if I go from there to there, we can see that's a 4-foot center line. And that's typically how they're laid out. And then they know how much they have to subtract on both sides. The way these go in, there are a couple of different ways. One is the inside, let's say, is made first with a stop. The glass is put in place, and then outside stops are clipped in, sort of pressure fit and snap in. Useful to know just as background information, but much more the installer's concern than the interior designers. So let's talk about the horizontal grid. And we have just the same thing right now. It's doing them for 8 feet. And if we want them to be fixed distance 4 feet, okay. And then they become 4 feet, so starting from the bottom. And if we can do an off here on this one wall, our horizontal one, we can offset up if we want. Let's say offset a foot. And that wall, because that's where we picked it in the properties of that wall, it starts up a foot for whatever reason you might want. Air vents or something. Let's cancel that. So a couple of questions come up. How do we put doors in here? And how do we change the materials? Let's say we wanted these to be glazed and these to be solid panels, just that you could put furniture up comfortably against, or to hide a low wall full of electrical conduit. Here's where the tab key really comes in handy. Somewhere over here is the edge of that piece of glass. If I keep hitting tab, eventually it will be highlighted so I can select it. So we can pick that. And right now that's pinned. We can't change anything about it. But when we unpin it, then we have a choice between the glazed system panel, that is what glass, or empty. We can see right through it. Or it's still there. It's not, we didn't delete it. There's still the idea of a panel there. It's just like nothing in it. Tab, 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 pick. Is that it? Yeah, or we can say, make it be a solid panel, a solid system panel. And we can define what material that is. But that's the deal. And if we pick that, solid system panel, we can edit type and pick its material. So aluminum or terracotta or whatever you want. So stuff is nesting down in there. You have to go through a couple of these dialogues to get things to be just the way you want them. Now, a door in a curtain wall is just another kind of curtain wall panel. That's all it is. It's not a forget that it's a door. It acts like a door and looks like a door, but it's a curtain wall panel because it's going to go in there and adjust with all those frames. And the cleanest way to get one of those into your drawing, instead of going through door or yada yada, is just to go to Insert, Load Family. We actually want to go to Doors. We're still under regular old Insert, not Door Load Family. Just Insert, go to Doors, and get the door curtain is the ones that we want. Let's just do the single glass one. And OK. Load Family. It's just under Insert, Load Family. Then we need to make a place for that to be. And because it's a curtain wall family, it's going to fill up whatever panel we choose to pick it. I mean, if we pick this tab, pick that, unpin it. Now we can pick curtain wall single glass. Ooh, a little tiny door. That's not what we want to do. We need to enlarge the space for that first so that it's too high instead of just that one. So I'm going to go to Control Z. Let me slide this around a little bit. There are a couple of things we need to do here. One is to pick that mullion, unpin it, and delete it. Okay. We got to pick this one, unpin it, and delete it. Then this is our joint line. all we've done is get rid of the mullion. We haven't gotten rid of the joint between those two pieces of glass. We need to join those two pieces of glass into a single panel. So we can tab here till we pick that grid line. That one grid line is highlighted in blue. And then I can go to add or remove segments. And then I pick this segment. And now I have a single panel that I can replace with the door panel. So now we tab again. Aren't we having fun here? Pick. It's already unpinned, that's fine. Now we can say that wants to be that door curtain wall single glass. Okay, so there's that. And you'll notice it shows up here in plan as a door. If you want to put a 7-foot door inside the 8-foot grid, well, you'd probably still leave this one and just add in another. So I could have done all that in elevation. So if we want to shrink this down and just put one in across here just to customize that, and it could be that this is where the ceiling is. So we do want to have the ceiling inside. That's where we do want to have this all the way across. I don't want to lower this or drop it because that would see like the, pipes or something or other. Here we go into architecture, curtain grid. And we have a choice when we do that, either horizontally or vertically. We have a choice of putting in an entire grid line that's independent of the 4-foot ones that we have here, whatever their setting is. So let me just show you what this looks like here. If I do this, it does that, which is just not what I'm looking for. Control Z. So I want to do one segment, and that wants to be right in here. And we can set those distances later on. And that also cuts this piece of glass from that piece of glass. If I want that over there, for instance, to be solid, then I could do tab, 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 till I pick that panel, unpin it, I always forget that, system panel solid, and then we have that. Now there's some nice tools here, so you don't have to go pick to make things. Let's say we wanted all of these across here to be solid. You can right-click any panel, choose Select Panels, and then choose the ones in the same vertical column, the same horizontal row, or all the panels on that host wall, and then change them all to the panel type that you want. One more thing I like about curtain walls, and really with any walls, is if you remember from last semester, we can select, and really in elevation view, this works best. We can select any wall and edit its profile. A floor, its profile is its boundary. When it's sort of vertical like this, it's edit profile. We get this purple line. And let's just say I wanted it to go from here to there. And get rid of this by using trim. It's underneath the roof or something or other. And can't create curtain wall mullion. Yeah, I can't make those. Okay, get rid of them. That's fine. And we go back with this. So like any wall, we can do that thing. It takes the profile we provide, the outline we provide, and fits the wall into it. Storefront guys would really like that to be like a solid panel, which is just plywood with aluminum on the outside, and they can easily cut that in the table saw and pop it in there instead of little tiny pieces of glass. But you're the designer. Do what you need to do. Okay, so that's sort of how we do with the panels. Where am I? There we go. We can also make the mullions themselves different. That's a family, and we can choose to replace that with a family of a different size. So let's just take one at a time. That one guy right there. Right now, that's a 2.5 by 5 inch rectangular mullion. That's a standard exterior type. For interior walls, it's usually smaller than that. It could be 1 3/4 by 4 or something, because you don't have wind load or anything like that. well, let's just crank it down. Let's say 1.5 by 2.5, since they're already here in the thing. We could make them smaller. Maybe your horizontals are all of that, and your verticals are larger and stronger. It's up to you entirely. As with the panels, you can right-click a mullion, choose Select Mullions, and then choose the ones you want as a group instead of individually. If we wanted to get that door, let me go back to our east elevation. If we wanted that door to be exactly, let's say 7 feet, I think I would do this. I put a dimension on it, tab to there, pick there, 6.6. Select this, change that to 7 foot to the, can't change dimension segment to this value. Why not? Oh, here's what I'll do. I see that I need to take that up by 5.25 inches to make that 7 feet. So what we'll actually do here is we don't move the mullion. I guess that's my mistake. You move the grid line up and then the mullion goes with it. Tab, 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 tab. MV for move. What did I say? 5.25 inches? 5.25 inches. Okay, and then near that. There's the 7 foot door done by adjusting the grid line, not the mullion. The mullion just clicks onto the grid line. So let's see how big this door is. Tab, 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 3.9. Well, we know we want that to be, well, let's just say 3 feet because it needs to be at least an egress door. So for that, we're going to have to probably put another little guy down here. So this ends up being 3 and we have a side light. We could move this whole grid line in 9.5 inches. If I select the whole grid line, then I'm moving the whole thing. And if we got I don't want something on the first floor affecting what's going up for 20 stories. So I'll go back to 3.9. So here I want to do the same thing again, is put in a smaller, is split this down, leave the door here and turn this into a glass side light. So what do we do? Curtain grid, there we do that. One segment in here somewhere. We'll fix it later. And maybe this goes up. I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. Let's leave it like that. And then I'll pick this, drag it into tab to there. Okay, that way I just have to move that 1/2 inch. Tab, 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 tab. MV for move, 0.5 inches. Well, close enough for government work, for heaven's sakes. Okay, so there's that. Let's say we want this guy to be continuous across here and this one just to butt up to it, then we can pick a mullion and say make continuous, and it will clean that up. And actually, the same things happen at the top and the bottom, where the outside frames are put in first, and then the verticals are, the verticals. And I think there's a way to set this in the definition of the family as well. Same down here. That's pretty much how that would go together. Fix those up, but you can clean that up. When those go in, you always put the whole bounding perimeter of those in, and then the others are measured and cut to fit and screwed into them. And I think there's some ways to make this even more automatic than that. But okay, so here, as long as we're at it, these guys should be continuous. And then that goes in, and then that goes in. Okay, that's cool. Now you notice one last thing. When I took this panel and divided it in two, it made 2 doors, a skinny door and a wide door. So we'll just pick that panel, unpinning it if need be. And then we'll say that's just a glazed panel there. So now back to glass. Okay, this is a good time for a break because let's all go ahead and get a drink before we start dealing with railings. see you in 5. Here we go again with part 2. We're dealing with railings, and we're not going to get finished with them today, but I want to give you a sense of where we're going. Railings also have nested families, the way the curtain walls do. There are families for the guardrail that keeps you from falling off the stair. There's a family for the handrail that you actually hold onto. There's a family for the balusters. Take a look at them, but there's several we have to pay attention to, and a number of ways to sort of navigate through the structure of the railing to see how those work. And again, there at the top of page 4 are 2 useful resources. I'm sorry to say this, but the Seidler book is all but useless for dealing with anything other than just straight runs of stairs. But the things we're going to be looking at, they're easy to create, easy to erase, and easy to recreate. So don't worry about if you have to erase it, just get it out of the way. Because once we made a railing type, we can draw its path in plan and then tell it to attach itself to a stair or a ramp, and it'll just click on and pick up all the verticals from that. And then lastly, we can extend a railing horizontally at the top or bottom of a ramp. They have to extend for ADA, basically coming like a foot past the last riser in each direction. I'm just going to do a short ramp, a ramp that's 30 inches high, just to max out it at that. Okay. WT. Okay, this is the default railing that's used, and it's called handrail rectangular, although it's not actually a handrail. Something like this is a guardrail that keeps you from falling off and keeps children from falling through. And all of the building codes require that a ball with a diameter of 4 inches can't go through the railing anywhere. A regulation softball is just a hair under 4 inches diameter. So if a softball won't pass through the railing, you're good. And the gap between the railing and the stair or ramp itself shall not exceed 6 inches. This applies to commercial or public work. This brings up the whole public safety part of being a certified or licensed design professional. Residential is a lot freer. Except on egress routes, I don't know if railings are even required in Kentucky residences. You see all those pictures in architecture magazines of just a staircase, you know. maybe they're in somewhere else, but so as far as we're concerned, I'm calling this the guardrail that's keeping us from falling off. I want to do an edit type duplicate just so I don't confuse it with everything else that's there. So I'm going to select it, go to edit type, and here what the ones that it could be. But I'm going to call this duplicate, and I'm going to call it guardrail with handrail, because we're going to combine these all into one thing. Guardrail with rail. Guardrail with handrail. Close enough. Okay, so that's our new name. This guy's different. I'm going to just get rid of him for now. Mostly be working in this view. First of all, the guardrails need to be 42 inches high. And you need to have them anytime that the fall is greater than 30 inches. So you can choose, but normally it's always from the top to the bottom of the run. So we'll say, here's this guy, edit type. I'll make the height be 42 inches. So there's that. That keeps you from falling off. Notice that for the railing itself, its properties, there's really very little information in the properties of the object itself. About the only one being the path of this, you know, we'll see later is just like one of those purple magenta lines where you define where the railing goes. And here we can set how far horizontally the railing itself is offset from its drawn path. So first thing we might want to do is kick that in a little bit if it's actually being stuck into the material of the ramp. So let's say offset from path. I don't know which direction is which. Let's just say 2 inches and see which way it goes. That was the wrong way. Minus 2 inches. I won't tell you how much of this for me is still trial and error. And I try to change only one thing at a time and then hit apply and see what the results were, especially as we start dealing with the railings that come down and turn and bend and stuff. Okay, so there's that. And that's about all we can do. New construction, you know, we don't care about this stuff at all. So close that up. It's an edit type that things get more interesting. I mean, like a lot more interesting. So we have the top rail, which is defined as continuous from one end to the other, keep people from falling off. And I'll just jump ahead of this a little bit to say, here it is. We change the height, and we can change the shape of it from a let's just do this, right? From a 2x2 rectangle, okay, to a different profile. Profiles are families, and there's circular ones and elliptical ones and round ones. Let's maybe just change this to something smaller just to show what's going on. Let's say, so that's that one. Let's just make it a square rail 1 inch by 1 inch, which are, and then apply. So it gets a little smaller. So we're just replacing one profile that's this big with another profile that's that big. And those are all in the profiles section of the Revit Imperial Library. There are lots of those. There's gutters, there's these, there's all sorts of stuff. Then the whole rail structure of forgetting that the handrail, just this guardrail structure. So the top by definition is continuous. We can also put in a lower railing. Like a lot of times you don't want all of these to have to come down and be inserted into the stair or the ramp. So we'll define a lower rail. I'm going to go to Insert, New Rail. I'm going to call it Bottom Rail, whose height is, let's say, 4 inches above the post. And we'll see let's pick a profile for it. Let's make it also that 1x1 square handrail thing so it fits all those. Apply. Okay, apply. So there's that. Well, not quite what we wanted. What I want is, every 4 feet to come down, but the ones in the middle to just stop at the bottom rail. So railing, edit type. That's when we get into baluster placement. And what we see here is we have, a regular baluster. That's just the one that being the ones that happens all the time. Square, they're going from the host, which is the ramp, all the way up to the top rail, which is here. And we also have at the ends, the start and the end, and anywhere that this turns, we're using that same 3/4 inch square one here. So this really is a start baluster, and these are all regular ones until we get to the other end, just in terms of terminology. So what I want to do is change my regular baluster to say it doesn't start at the host, it starts at the bottom rail that we just made. So they'll get trimmed up like that. So what we need here is to set up a pattern of regular, all the way down, regular, all the way down. So to do that, we're in baluster placement. And we're not talking about this little end guy, the start guy. He's out of this. Just for these, I want to say I have a regular baluster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say, and then that one we'll have go back to the base, to the host. So this pattern will repeat all the way up. Okay, and apply. Okay. Well, I did practice last night and this morning to get it working. Something a little funny up there, huh? What's that all about? Oh, that's because there's not quite enough room here for these all to fit. Okay, go back to edit, edit type, baluster placement. We can say excess length fill with a 3/4 inch square baluster. See what happens. It's too small. Okay, well, oh, spacing at 4. By beginning, apply. Okay, so, and you made all of them go to the ground. Yeah, so you go back, baluster placement, beginning each segment and spacing. It turns out to be truncate pattern. keep using the balusters we've chosen until the space is filled. Now that we have that straightened up, the 4 inches here is from center to center. So knowing that these are 3/4 of an inch, I can actually take the spacing to 4 3/4 and still have just 4 inches clear between them. So let's see if that makes a difference. 4.75. I don't want to do that again. I'm just going to delete, and then duplicate. And then the bottom one, last one goes to the host. Okay, apply. So now if we go into an elevation view, so center to center is 4 3/4. The actual space is 4, and so that cuts down your expense a little bit. And really, you want to wait till you get those balusters picked before you decide that final spacing, because that'll vary with them. Okay, keep on going. Edit type. Rail structure we saw, baluster placement we saw. You can explore these as you go around corners and change levels. Do you want those smooth or to drop or to angle? It's fun to explore. And then we have 2 options for handrails. I'm going to pick this handrail. And this is the true handrail. This is the handicap one. So I'm going to say on the left side of this ramp, as we're going up, I'm going to add a circular handrail 1.5 inch diameter. We'll just see how that comes out. It's offset center to center 2 1/4 from the railing, which should leave us 1.5 inches clear. Its height is at 3 feet, which is fine. Apply. Okay. Let's make sure that's the right one. Edit type. Position, none. Position, left. Apply. Okay. So there's that at 3 feet. And it looks like, I need, right. It's the railing on the left, the handrail on the left, the guardrail is on the left, but I need to be on the inside of it on the right, sorry. So you can see where this is all going. Position, right. Apply, and there's also a left and right for, clear railing down the middle. So there's that guy. A question from the floor about a handrail mounted on a wall, not on a railing. I would leave this one set up for a guardrail plus a handrail, and then create a new type of railing. Edit type, duplicate. Let's call this handrail on wall. Okay, so we still have the other kind. So if this becomes handrail on wall, edit type, we don't have a top rail. Delete dimensions. We don't have a bottom rail. We don't have any balusters. You gotta have one in there to start, but it doesn't exist. And we don't have any start posts. So this is clearly a whole different kettle of fish from what we started with. Apply. Okay. So there's that. And let me put a wall in there. Wall. Oh, sorry, wrong type of wall. Okay. So then we get into a couple of questions that apply to all of these, which is what happens at the ends? to get that required extension, which is at the top, it's a foot. At the bottom, it's a foot or a tread width, whichever is greater. If by that time you have 24-inch treads, you have to have a 24-inch extension. Okay, so let's look at this. This will all come in handy. So there's no railing, there's no construction, there's just handrails here. And the way we work on the handrail is to go into its options. Let's see the ones at the bottom we don't care about. The extension style. This becomes interesting, where we can have no extension style, where it makes an angle and returns to the wall, where it comes down to the floor or hits a post. And let's see what happens with a wall. Apply, okay. It's supposed to hit the wall. Well, it puts on a wall return, and then we can adjust it. And for everybody listening, I go through this almost every time I have to do this. So position right. Extension. Oh, I didn't give it a length. That's right. I didn't give it a length. At the bottom, we're required to come down to the edge of the ramp plus tread width. There's no tread on a ramp, so we'll just make it a foot. And for ramps, it is a foot, top and bottom, and that's in the notes. Okay, so that comes down parallel to the railing, horizontal for a foot, and returns to the wall. And as we can see it, it's right there. So I can just goose it up, which presumably just changed its offset. And now I need to attach it to this host. I need to tell it, apparently moving it is like dropped off the, let's explore this a little bit. Edit its path. Yeah, its path, its center line, its sort of orientating thing slid off the ramp into the wall. So I'm going to move that back however far we wanted that to go. And now it's back associated with the ramp. I can do the same extension at the top that we did at the bottom, just the same thing. What we need to do here is support it. Somewhere we have to be able to tell it, like, do those every 4 feet. Edit type. Position. Supports. Fixed distance. Oh, there are no posts. Fixed distance, spacing, 4 feet, justification, center, apply. Okay. It was a pleasure coming to us today. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, see you, friends on the interweb.